Elgin Police Department is dedicated to working in partnership with the community to promote safety and enhance the quality of life by serving with professionalism, encouraging open communication, and embracing diversity.
Engaged.
Partnering with our citizens and involved in our community.
Progressive.
Embracing innovative strategies while maintaining proven practices.
Dedicated.
Serving with integrity and professionalism. Elgin became an incorporated city in 1854 and installed its first police marshal, George W. Renwick. Over the years, the title of the head law enforcement officer changed from marshal to chief. And although the role has expanded, one duty has remained consistent: to ensure law and order for the citizens of Elgin.
It's time now for Fridays with the Finest, featuring Elgin's current police chief, Anna Lally, on Elgin's hometown radio station since 1949, WRMN AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
Hello and good morning for another beautiful morning with Fridays with the Finest. And our finest here in Elgin, we're talking about our police chief, and that would be Chief Anna Lally. How you doing today, Chief?
Good. How are you?
I couldn't be better. What's going on in the world?
So there's a couple things that I want to kind of go over today and talk about. Obviously I don't have a guest today with me, so just to kind of, if anyone wants to call in, if anyone has any questions, please do. More than happy to answer any of the questions.
That number is 847-931-1410. 847-931-1410.
Yeah, so first I want to talk a little bit about, the weekend, La Fiesta, the parade, and the event itself. So it was last week on Saturday. The parade probably had about 100 vehicles, give or take, but was, the weather was a little hit or miss in the morning.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, thunderstorming, and then it cleared up. But still just, a good amount of people that, were able to just kind of, it was quick, by the time we came from Old Sherman Hospital down Douglas, it was over probably around, we started around 10, so about 11 o'clock. And then later that evening, we had the actual event down in Festival Park with fireworks, music, everything, and it was packed. So it was a good event. We had no major incidents to report. So, I appreciate the community coming out and everyone being able to enjoy themselves respectfully and peacefully.
Yeah, it's about an hour, give or take, or whatever. It was real nice.
Mm-hmm. So the next event that we have coming up, the big event for the city, is Nightmare on Chicago Street.
Yes.
So that one is, I think, October 25th. It's a Saturday. We met as a command staff and with our special events Lieutenant Scott Holmes, who, I want to mention, did an exceptional job, with the event this past weekend and all the events throughout the summer. So, it's a lot. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of, you also have to be very mindful of things that are going on. So obviously with immigration and things that have been going on, that's another layer of things that we have to discuss in terms of contingency plans and having those, processes in place, if this, then that. So the what ifs and asking the questions of, what would we do in these scenarios, making sure that the officers have that information, but also making sure that the officers are aware of, what we can and cannot do, which is something I'll talk about a little bit here in terms of the Trust Act and immigration and some of the things that
I bet you're getting a lot of questions on that.
Yeah, and so I was at the city council meeting, not the last one, so a week and a half ago or whatever it is. And so I want to just, for the sake of the community and people who do listen to the show who maybe don't watch the city council meeting, talk a little bit about that. But I will get back to that in a second. So Nightmare on Chicago Street, October 25th. A lot of planning that happens right now with the officers, with the city. That is my favorite event of the year. I love that event. I have not missed one event. I think they've been doing it for 13 years, maybe. Yeah. It seems like a long time. So there was one year where I had to fly out the next morning for something, and so I stayed for a couple hours. But I am there the whole time. I love that event. I think it's there's the making sure the planning and the resources are in place, and then it's the community engagement side too. So there's a lot that goes on to that night. So I will be giving more information as that date gets closer. I'll probably bring Lieutenant Holmes on just to talk about planning as the date comes.
And any help you need communicating, like the week prior, we'll be happy to do so, like with road closures and what have you.
Thank you. So the other thing is tomorrow, Saturday, September 20th, from 3:30 to 7, we are hosting. So Officer Juan Juarez and Officer Jose Quintana have been working on an event called Viva Elgin. This is our second or third year that we've done this, and basically family-friendly event, has something for everyone: music, food, activities. And basically it's just a few hours for the community to come together. They did it last year at a grocery store on Dundee. I can't think of the name, and it was packed. So, we are going to have this event. For us, it's important that we keep, the events of the Elgin Police Department and we keep our philosophy of community engagement, no matter what is happening, so whether it's 2020 and we have protests, it's 2020 and we have COVID, it's, 2024, 2025 with immigration, all this stuff. It's very important to me that we keep the philosophy of the police department and keep the momentum of the department to build great relationships with the community. And it's very hard. I know it's very easy sometimes just to take a step back because, there's a lot of nervousness and a lot of concern and a lot of, I believe in just doing the right thing and making sure that the community knows that the Elgin Police Department is here. We respect everyone. We don't take a side, and I've said that many times when we do briefings with the officers, whether we're briefing for protests, we're briefing for, 4th of July, we're briefing for La Fiesta. It does not matter for us. Our goal as the Elgin Police Department is very simple, is to be respectful, to be professional, and to ensure that we provide a safe environment for people to do whatever
about the
it is that
community.
they're doing. And it's about
Bottom
the
line.
community. So we are going to have this event. I want to thank Officer Quintana and Officer Juarez for their work. They are excited about it. We pushed out a video yesterday so that the community could see that as well. So if you're around, stop by. I know your event is tomorrow too.
Yes.
So Detective Houghton, Detective Vartanian will be there. So I don't know if you want to touch a little bit on that.
We can get into that. That's going to be right in Hampshire. I don't want to take away from your stuff.
No,
but
go
we're
ahead.
having our America First Responders Fest this year. We're going to be partnered up with Hampshire. And that starts at 1 o'clock and goes to 6. And the chief graciously is allowing us to have the 2 detectives, well, 1 sergeant now.
Yes.
And it'd be a good thing. I mean, we're going to recognize all of our first responders. In fact, we're even going to have Aaron Murphy.
Yes,
Is going to be on
which
our
is
stage
great.
as
Yeah.
well, mid-afternoon. So it's going to be a great event. It's a rain or shine event. Looks like we may get a little bit of raindrops fall on us, but we got a sheltered stage, and we're ready to go. And the proceeds are going to great spots. We're helping the Canines for Veterans.
That's
I know
awesome.
Canines real
Yeah.
important with you,
Yeah.
as myself. And I think the thing that all of our donations are going to, the Canine for Veterans, is those comfort animals.
Mm-hmm.
It's for the PTSD. It's for the mental challenges
Mm-hmm.
that some of the gentlemen have came. And then what we're offering for police and fire is the Illinois Peer Support Team. Any one of the officers, firefighters, or police officers need someone to talk to. This is a great resource. And then always we have True Patriots Care. He's the gentleman, Mr. Christofferson, that lines the roadway
flags,
for
yeah.
a funeral and flags, not only for military now, he's advanced it to law enforcement, first responders.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
thank
a
you to all
good
of
thing
them.
he does, right.
Yep. Thank you to you for having that and for hosting
Love to do
that.
it.
Matt and Andrew will be there. I have another event. The Autism Hero Project are having their gala tomorrow night, so I will be there amongst some other people. So a lot of stuff going on tomorrow. There's a lot. So we will make sure that we have a presence no matter where it is, whether if it's not me, it's your detectives or it's your command staff. So we love to be out, and we really, truly appreciate what you do honoring people, because I think, it is very easy not to do anything, and I think that the people that do go out of their way, and this takes time, effort, planning, coordination, making sure that everyone is working with each other and there's money involved. And so I think when people do that, we truly appreciate it. So thank you. And thank you to all those,
No, we're glad to do it.
Organizations as well. So Matt and Andrew will be there, and I think it will be a great event for them to, again, just kind of feel that love from the community and for the work that they do. And
It's a passion. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone knows I'm former firefighter, law enforcement, but this is something we do for the first responders.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're inviting you, the first responders, to come on out. And we've sent flyers to everybody. This is a day for them to come out and let everybody just recognize
Yes.
it. Not fall over their shoelaces. Oh, my God, thank you.
No.
Look, just be in the crowd, get
Yeah.
to meet each other. The way you do your policing.
I will tell you too, a lot of police officers, they really don't like that attention.
You know what? I don't like it when people give you
Yeah.
that. Oh, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Well, all right, thank you.
Yeah, it is, most of the police officers, I mean, I've met a few that they do soak it up. But most police officers generally, they just like to do the work and let it sit and let it be. And so I think
Their level of humility is where it belongs.
yes, where you need to be. So,
Right.
okay. The other thing too is I want to mention. So those are events coming up. Then obviously, I want to talk a little bit about the missing person that happened on Monday morning. And again, this is more so that people have the information and understand what we do and why we do it. I've said this a little bit more. I've talked about this in more detail. But basically, I'll just kind of, when we have a missing person, there's a couple things that have to happen. So we were working on that call. It would have been Sunday night. About 9 o'clock, we were notified. So 9 o'clock at night on Sunday. Now, we don't automatically, just like within any incident, we don't automatically go on social media right then and there and push this out to the community, because there's a period of time where the officers are trying to solve it, trying to find the person, trying to arrest someone, so there's no immediacy at that moment. Now, if there's some incident like an active shooter event, or there's some type of public threat, those type of notifications are made immediately. But for this, there's a little bit of like, okay, we got to talk to the family, got to figure out what's going on. Eventually, though, it did get to the point where we had to call a command post. We were able to locate an area where we believe she last was at. We have to get all our resources down there. So probably about 8 or 9 o'clock, we pushed something out on social media, because what's happening now, when people wake up in the morning, it's one thing 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock. Very few people are up at that time. Now they're waking up Monday morning, right? Now there's, whether they see a whole, which if you drove down Raymond Street, you would have seen a whole bunch of squads and you would have seen the command post. So the first thing people are going to say is, what is going on? So the timeliness of getting that information. So we push that out before it gets too late in the day where people are like, okay, get it. And then we need that time to do our work, right? So that's, our detectives are coming out there. We're, partnering with our other agencies. We're doing all our investigative things. And ultimately, we were able to locate her. So I think those incidents, for us in the police department, I have seen in the past in other agencies and other things that have happened nationally, and these are the things where you have to learn from some of the things that people do, and that where it doesn't turn out good, right? Not to criticize, but you have to be able to say, okay, if that happened here in Elgin, what would we do? And how would we respond? And for me, it's not even just the immediacy of it. To me, it's the 10 steps later, right? What happens if you don't find this missing person, right? What is the community going to ask? What is the family going to ask, right? If I have to sit there and brief the community about what's going on, I want to be able to say that we did everything possible and then some, right? So that's my mindset. It's that we are not going, it's very simple. We're not leaving here until we find her, or that we can say with some, enough where I feel comfortable enough and confident enough to say that we've done everything possible in this area to exhaust all our investigative leads. And for me, that standard is very high. I don't care if we're there for a day or 2 days, because again, if you think about our, cold cases, right? I mean, think about Karen's case. And I think that's an example of, at the time, law enforcement believes that they are doing everything they possibly can. And whatever standard at the time in the organization is what the standard is. So if if your organization is, well, we're just going to check some boxes and then we're done because, this costs too much money and it's too much time and this, I don't think like that. I think it's the families, because this is a one time that you're going to have to do things the right way, and to make sure that then if we're not able to do it, the next people that come after us, we at least give them something that they can work with, right? So
And you get the tip off from the family early on that she was missing.
yeah, the
correct?
family who calls us, right?
Yeah.
And that's the other part too, is that you have to be very sensitive with the family, right? So a lot of times the family, they are very hesitant. They could be hesitant, and I've seen, to put that information out to the public, right? Because you have to imagine it's a very public thing. We need to, post that information out to the public, because if someone sees her, we want them to call us. Eventually, though, when we do locate her, and then, if the family requests for us to take that post down, we do that, right? Because
Right.
that is that's not a criminal thing. That's not a public information thing. That's not a public safety. So we're able to, work with the family and show that respect too. So missing people are very, you only have a certain amount of time to really kind of work your leads, and the more time that goes on, the staler it becomes.
Sure.
I remember as a young officer, we had a missing girl, and it turned into where she was found deceased, and this was in 1997 or 98. And Brittany Martinez was the case, if anyone remembers that case. And I remember as a young officer, I was working midnight shift. And so, it happened on afternoon shift. When we came in on midnights, we then had to, we were coordinating efforts to look and search in all these places. Now, in 1997, I think it was 97 or 98, there's no such thing as Facebook. There's no such thing
No.
as social media. There's no such thing as, all these, texting people. This is like old school.
Door-to-door
Door-to-door,
canvassing. Yeah.
pieces of paper with pictures on it. There's no such thing as drones. There's no such thing as cameras within the city. So you can imagine, and we literally spent the whole entire day. So we worked our shift, and then we spent the whole entire day the next day until probably 5 or 6 o'clock, because we were going out in search parties on foot. Those classical or traditional policing methods you still have to apply today, because a drone can only see so much. A camera may only catch so much.
Right.
You're never going to replace the old school police work of getting out on foot and literally walking, talking, and looking.
And you may
just
bump
cannot.
into someone walking down the
Yes.
street that said, what are you guys looking for? Well, we're looking for, oh, you know what? I saw her an hour ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's very important. So that's, I wanted to mention that, because if people were following our post in the morning, we did eventually take it down yesterday on request of the family, because they don't want that information out there, and we could respect that. The incident's done; she's been found, and we move on then from there. And we've had incidents where families will tell us, even when people are arrested, a lot of times that information is public information, so it's very hard for us to take that down. But if there's something involving a missing person, or someone that might have we're looking for them, but they have some type of disability,
senior wandered off or
senior,
something. Sure.
we'll eventually take their picture down, because you obviously you want to be respectful of the family. We need to do what we need to do to find people. Once we do, then we can kind of make those adjustments. So, and again, make sure if you are, follow us on social media. That is number one thing that you and I have talked about too. If it's not coming from the Elgin Police Department's Facebook or the City of Elgin, those are the two reliable sources as it relates to city business. Right now, there are other sources out there, and other web pages. They do what they do. They can obviously do whatever they want to do. But for us, and I've said this many times too, we cannot take back things. So if we put out something on the police department's page, and that information then is found to be untrue or not valid or not correct, right? Even with the little small nuances, I can never take that back. So we are very, very careful, very mindful. We what are we actually saying? Is this actual, factual? You can't leave any ambiguous words. You have to be absolutely definitively clear. So those two sources, if anyone is watching.
And it would come out on your website or your Facebook
Yes.
page before the cities.
Yeah, the city will sometimes, and that's one of the things. So this week, the city did put something out that we shared.
Right.
So depending on what the topic is, crime-related stuff is most 99% of the time coming from Elgin PD. Unless it's a higher thing. When we were dealing with some officer-involved shootings, that's a joint effort between the city manager's office and myself, right? Because that impacts the whole entire city. People are getting asked questions. So, In this next few minutes here, we have about 8 minutes. I want to talk a little bit about, the statement that the city did put out, regarding federal agents, ICE wearing masks. So at the city council meeting, which was not this week, but the following week, the city council took action urging the U.S. Congress and U.S. Senate to enact laws prohibiting federal agents, including U.S. immigration officers, from wearing face masks. So this is a very symbolic gesture by the city council. They had this discussion. I encourage anyone who's interested to go back and watch that city council meeting. The U.S. Congress and Senate have not passed any law prohibiting ICE or any other federal agency from wearing masks. So, there is nothing that the Elgin Police Department can do. So we have to continue to follow our established protocols, our state law that it prohibits us from assisting ICE or any other federal agent with civil immigration enforcement. So we have to act within our lawful authority. So, that is the Trust Act that I've talked about many, many times. I've talked about it here, and I want to make sure the community knows the discussion at the city council meeting, for their resolution. That was it's a symbolic thing. I think it's going to be up again for conversation next week at the city council meeting. What Elgin police officers are, our box that we have to work in is the Trust Act, right? So unless we're presented with a federal criminal warrant or otherwise required by a specific federal law, we are prohibited from assisting with any immigration enforcement operations. We cannot, we can't arrest and detain people based solely on their immigration status. We can't provide on support to federal immigration agents, including coordinating arrests. So these incidents that have happened in Elgin this past week, the Elgin Police Department is not involved in those.
You're not even notified.
So the incident that happened on Tuesday, I believe it was Tuesday morning, community members were calling us because they were calling saying people are out and about with masks and weapons. And so, as I mentioned at the city council meeting, when asked by a council member, what is the response of the police department? Very simply, if people call, we have to go and figure out what's going on. So once we do figure out what's going on and we understand this is out of our purview, we cannot engage in this, then there's nothing more that we can do. And I know that can be frustrating for people, but I want people to know that, we, if they're carrying out their official duties, and there's no violation of law that's being committed, there's no reason for us to remain and monitor the scene. We have to be very mindful of that. But we do respond. If community members call, text, social media, we respond, we answer. But our officers, there is a very definitive, it's not even a fine line. It is in your face line about what we can and cannot do, which is you cannot engage in any type of immigration efforts, and that also means assisting. So I want to make sure the community knows that. There's been a lot of conversations this week. There's been a lot of activity this week. And I will say anyone that wants to call the police department, if anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to meet with any group. I've met with several people. I was just on the phone before I walked in here on a conversation about this morning. Please, please, please call us. Let us give the right information. Please, it is whatever this is going, it is what it is. And for me, it's very important that, number one, the people have the right information as it relates to the abilities, capabilities, and lawful activity of the Elgin Police Department. That is who I am in charge of. So if you have questions about Elgin officers, what our lawful activity is, what are the boundaries in which that we need to work? We have to be very mindful of laws. We have to uphold and also make sure that we're not violating laws. So I'm more than happy to make myself available, calls, Facebook, meetings. It's very important to me that we get this information. And that's something too that, when we do these briefings for the events, especially on Saturday, I was at the briefings, and that's one of the things that I tell the officers. So you have to know the Trust Act, because people are going to come up and ask you, why are you not doing this? And why are you doing this? Right. And if you stand there and you say nothing, right? Imagine that somebody comes up to you, and now I'm not talking about somebody taunting you, because that's just unfortunately,
No, you're talking to someone just
Yes.
looking for answers.
Somebody
what are
is
these masked men
asking you,
doing? Sure.
and they may not even be asking politely, which they don't have to, right?
Yeah.
Like if somebody's just taunting you and calling your names, that's different, right? That's officers deal with that routinely outside of any type of immigration thing, or that's the professionalism of what we do here. But if someone comes up to you and says, "How come you are not doing A, B, or C? Aren't you a police officer?" Your response has to be, that is a great opportunity to say, let me explain what I can and cannot do, and let me give you the why. So a lot of times I think people get, they're asking me something, I better, it's like, have the conversation, engage in the conversation. Right. But before you can do that, you have to know this. It is our responsibility to ensure that we know the laws. It's our responsibility that we translate that information to the community appropriately, and that we give them the information that they need. They may not be happy. And I will tell you, if that's one lesson that I've learned in almost 30-year career, it's very simple. Even when you tell people the information, even when it's accurate, factual, there's no emotion involved in it, and it's strictly business, people will still not be happy with you. And you have to be content with that. You have to be okay with that, right?
Well, you've communicated before what the Trust Act consists of. I've seen it on your website. I've seen it posted. And your department as well. If you've arrested someone for whatever reason and you release him, you're not making no phone calls to anybody. The people, the citizens need to understand that.
Yes.
That you can't do that. It goes against the Trust Act.
Exactly.
Correct.
And so I think that's where...
So a lot of departments are starting to, question, well, how come the ICE agents are here when you're releasing them? Was that a coincidence?
My responsibility is to the Elgin community, to the members of the Elgin Police Department, and to the members of my community. That is where my responsibility lies. And for me, it's very simple. Make sure that they have the right information. Make sure the conversation continues. Make sure that we do whatever we can to ensure that the right information is out there. And most importantly, that we are, professionals, and that we conduct ourselves in the manner that we would want our community to be proud of. And it's as simple as that, right?
This past Fiesta, you've had no problems, correct?
Pardon me?
The past festival that
we had no
weekend?
issues. No issues. So, as we move into, Nightmare on Chicago Street and a lot of stuff, this is the world we live in now. Right. And these are the things that and again, this is where I've seen many different ups and downs in policing, and it's always something. And this is where your resiliency and your understanding of, just make sure that you're, being professionals. And I'll leave it at that.
And I think, you do a great job with the communication, and it's very important. And I would imagine you've got another task force now attached to the different festivals saying, okay, look, you're on that ICE thing. You're going to keep an eye on this. So they can report back any information that comes.
And again, we have to be very mindful on how we do that. It's more about, the public safety component.
Right.
And so there's some nuances to that, but that again, that's why we are the professionals. And those are things that, for our community, just if you're going to go, if you're going to attend, we want you to feel welcome, and we also want you to feel safe. And what happens in the background, hours and hours and hours and hours of planning, that's for us to take care of.
Yeah. Well.
All right. Well, thank you again.
30 seconds. Anything else?
No, I just want to again thank you for tomorrow. I think hopefully the weather will hold off for you guys, and
I think we
appreciate you guys doing it. And I will see everybody
Thanks for borrowing your people.
Absolutely.
And it's we want to recognize each and every one of them. So again, America's First Responders, and that's tomorrow from 1 to 6 o'clock. Chief is sending a few of their detectives, sergeant, and dispatcher. So we're going to recognize them. So hey, this has been Fridays with the Finest, Chief Anna Lally. And what we're going to do is we'll catch you next week.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, for everything you do.